Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm your host, Ian Carlos Crawford, and joining me is my lovely co-host, writer at menshealth.com,
Philip Ellis. And we are also joined by a very special guest today. He played Andrew on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Do you want to introduce yourself?
It's me, Thomas Lenk of America.
Hi, Tom. It's so good to have you.
Hello, friends and lovers.
This is our second go because my computer froze. I will say that Tom complimented both our hair in the other intro we did.
They both have lovely.
The record show.
Yeah.
The record show. Well, first Ian complimented me on my hair earlier, which is why I thought of complimenting both of your hairs. And because you both have long, luscious locks, but Ian is forever hiding them from us. He grows it out only to hide it.
Maybe I'll do a reveal at the end. Tom, before we get started, do you want to give us your Buffy origin of how you came to this role?
I got cast as a vampire in season 5. I was one of Harmony's minions, and I guess they had a rule that if you didn't show your face or whatever, I guess you could come back as a different character. So I auditioned for a couple other characters on Buffy and Angel, and then I booked this one. What did Jane say?
Jana Svensson said, I forget who it was. She mentioned a specific person that was there when you auditioned, and that person came back to the writer's room and was like, I found the guy. Like, that's not like they loved your audition so much that they changed Andrew to be more like you because they liked your audition so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jane, who's not here. She's still with us. She's alive. Yeah. She's alive and well and full of youth and vim and vigor. Jane, I love you. It was actually, this role was written for someone else. It was written for who was it? We could Google this. It was for the person who played the role of Tucker on the show previously.
Okay.
And I think he was in some sort of Christian touring, like performance group, like rock, like a Christian, not rock band, but like a Up With People sort of thing, and just wasn't available. Didn't want to come back and be a huge TV star. But I guess that's what they were doing. What's his name? Matt Kane?
I just looked at
Brad Kane. Brad Kane, thanks for the gig. And so it was written for him and Adam Bush and Danny Strong as this trio of nerds who'd been on the show in other episodes, and they were bringing them back as this sort of evil trio for the season. And yes, Jane, they did tell me, well, yes, the writing was clearly like my character was kind of in charge, like was sort of the leader of the group, I guess you would say. Really? Yeah, that was the way it was written, but my delivery, I mean, Jane knows this, but I think the world, I don't know if I've told the world, but I basically was in a, I loved Betty White, R.I.P., on Golden Girls, and I kind of was just like, I just liked saying the lines how Rose would say the lines, and so that's kind of how I was saying those lines when I auditioned. And so there was a bit of a, I mean, yeah, there was a bit of a rose filter, rosy colored glasses that I would sort of in my head do when I was, I don't know, that was my starting point, and then I don't know.
I love that.
A lot of it is just me. It's so funny when people say, "Oh, look, he's doing Andrew on this show." I'm like, no, I'm doing me. I'm me. Jennifer Aniston's not doing Rachel on the morning show. She's just the contemporary style of acting is you bring mostly yourself to each role. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're doing a transformative performance where you're like doing an accent and there's,
unless you're dressing up as Tilda Swinton.
Yes, which I have done. I am a transformative performer. and I can do accents. I was just complaining about why won't they let Kate, which one is
Winslet.
Kate Winslet. Well, because Kate Blanchett is Tilda's in our show about Tilda Swinton. It's her mortal enemy. When she says, like, if she needs to say a bad word, it's like but Kate Winslet gets to do a bad American accent on over here, but how come I can't go do a bad accent on Vera or Shetland or Hinterland?
It's not bad. It's actually accurate to the area. Like, it really
is it though?
I don't know. I say water the same way she does.
Water.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's just because it's like we as Americans make fun of that accent, right? Yeah. So it's hard to do it, even when you're doing it accurately. It sounds like you're doing an impression.
Cartoon. Yeah, it sounds like a cartoon. Yeah,
you know, cartoon.
So before I derail the entire show by just asking you to do various British accents, because I'm sure you would kill it.
No, I need practice.
Okay, fine. We'll have a separate call.
Okay, here's Vera's. Pit. Get your mam for. Oh, Pit, get your mam. We need a cuppa, don't we? Love. Where's your mam, Matt? No. Okay, I knew some of the words.
It was. I mean, you said Pet, so I could tell it was Geordie. But just going back to the Betty White.
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. They're Scottish.
Yeah, perfect. No notes. Yeah, it's just so funny that you said you were playing it sort of the way that Rose would deliver those lines, because Andrew, looking at it through that lens, is very much like the Rose of the group. He's arguably the sweetest and kind of most naive of the three, and kind of going along with it rather than being like the one with the most agency and being the leader. So it's just really interesting that that dynamic absolutely then turned out being part of the show.
Well, I guess she said, Jane, and I think Marty told me that they sort of changed the dialogue a bit so that it was more to what I was bringing in the initial audition. So then Adam had a more in charge vibe, so they put that over to him. But yeah, that's why I love the sort of just like slightly out of touch, and there's always a positive spin. That's what Rose does. There's always like a positive. She always says something in sort of like even if it's horrible, it's just like this sort of wide-eyed, optimistic sort of vibe to it. Yeah. And also Rose was I think the one who was the least in touch with her own sexuality, and that's I know there's been lots of discussion about the character being gay, and I think a lot of that initially was just because at the time, like there's not at the time there wasn't a gay character unless it said it was gay, and so I think that my initial thing was like, oh, this character is out of touch with his sexuality, and like that's a whole other podcast. I won't take us down that route. But anyway, that was sort of my initial sort of launching point. Also, I haven't had like here's a guarantee of 10 episodes of television that you get to do. I haven't had that since, and what a gift. And also what a gift this episode was. Like you don't usually as a guest star get a whole episode of television written for you. And I will say, on like the top 5 things I'm most proud of in my career, this is definitely one of them. Just because it was so fun to do, and it was also very nerve-wracking, and I just wanted it to be really good, because it was I was just such a big responsibility to get to do. I don't know, it was wonderful.
When did you find out that you were getting your own episode? Like, were you like, did they approach you, or?
I can't remember. Was Danny's character already dead at this point?
Yeah.
Because that's what I remember that one. I remember that script. We were doing a convention in London, and we were in a cab, and they had sent the top secret scripts over to us at the hotel. And it was the episode where I killed Danny, and we always would do bullshit. My like, you just like scan for your lines, and he'd reached the end of his script, and I'm like, did you finish it? He said, yeah. I'm like, what about did you read that one part? And it's like, huh? I'm like, maybe you should read it again. And it was like, God damn it. And I felt horrible and I felt bad. But joke's on the rest of us, because Danny Strong has eclipsed all of us with his career.
He has an Emmy, right? Or it's been
He's
nominated.
got, I think, more than one Emmy, multiple Writers Guild Awards. His thing, I'm sure, is going to win. Dope Sick is going to win Emmys this year, I'm sure. Anyway, but I love those guys, and also it was just like such an interesting time, because like I spent the first maybe month and a half or two like not being out or like talking openly about being gay with Danny and Adam, even though they were like had become my friends. But it was still that point in time in which you had to like come out, like every person you would meet for the first time you had to essentially come out to, and it was sort of like, if you hadn't done it publicly in the press, they were like, people sort of were tiptoeing around it.
Yeah.
And also because for like my own safety, also because and to a certain extent, like it still is this sort of energy and vibe on sets, because there's a lot of bros, there's a lot of straight bros in some of the departments, and you're always just like a little, oh gosh, did that, there's just, I don't want to generalize, but like some of them like have those big trucks and sometimes have a Confederate flag on the back of their truck. I don't know, they probably don't anymore, but like
but back then, yeah,
especially back then. And so you just weren't sure who you could be open around. So anyway,
did you come out to them while you were still working with them, or no, not till later?
No, I did eventually. I don't remember how. I probably was like, they were probably like sort of tiptoeing around the subject or something, or they were like, oh, are you seeing anyone? Is there a person? Like they were doing that thing, which was very sweet. And then I said probably like, oh, I'm dating this guy, so and so.
Yeah. I think that was I mean, it really is like I think about that often, because it's not like the three of us are that old, but I do think of that like back then, like when you're like 20 in your 20s and you kind of like use that language where you just like dance around saying a pronoun, and like even though it's people that probably are cool with it,
that was the original they them, is you were just being really vague about the people you were interested in dating.
Yeah.
Like, this person.
Yes.
I'm having a great time with them. They are really
them.
Cool.
Yeah. My partner is I'm currently seeing someone who is, I think humans in general, like clearly straight men have gaydar because of the number of times that just random awful straight men have yelled the F slur out the window at me just from seeing me walk wearing a backpack, or like how do they know so quickly upon driving by and not knowing? Like, well, sir, your gaydar is, for a straight man, you seem like you're pretty in touch with gayness. If you can call me an F slur out the window upon just seeing me.
I had PE teachers who knew I was gay before I did, just from the way I would run.
Oh God, that's true. Like, I mean, the kid. Essentially, a lot of the kids making fun of, again, I'm generalizing, making fun of you in high school at this time, I mean me, it's because they know and you don't, or they're seeing it. It's not allowed yet, at least in the late 90s. I don't know. The PE, oh God, PE was such a, why did I do an entire year of PE when I was already in marching band, and marching band, you would get PE credit for it.
Wait, at your school, you got credit for that? I was in band too, but we didn't get credit for gym for that.
Well, you only got credit for marching semester because then the other semester was concert band. But I guess I didn't realize I was going to take 4 years. So I'd have to take 4 years of it, right, to get my full 2 years of PE. But like, yeah, why did you waste? I mean, the praying to God no one would throw me the ball in flag football.
Yeah.
Oh,
And of course,
I still, when walking through a park, if a ball comes rolling over to me, my blood turns to ice. The thought of me having to kick a ball back to a bunch of youths, I hate it. It's my
oh my
nightmare.
God, because you know you're going to kick it. You're going to aim for them and it's going to go the complete opposite direction. It's going to go further away. And then you're like, do I have to run and go get it? Or are they going to run and get it? I've just created more of a problem. Oh God, sport is very triggering.
Oh, no, my go-to with that is I pick it up and I'll like briskly walk it over to them. I'm like, here you go. Because I know it's not going to go anywhere if I try to throw it. Yeah.
It happened to me recently where it came over to me and I literally just like ignored it. I pretended I'd see it. Like, kept walking, even though it was like, hey, could you just like boot that back over to us? And I just like stared straight ahead, just keep walking, Philip. They can't hurt you.
This is interesting that you bring this up because I hadn't realized why I'm so fearful of youths that are doing sport. And this is why. Also, in junior high, like we were during basketball, playing basketball and PE, and one of the kids who kind of would pick on me a lot just fully tripped me on purpose, and I got a concussion. I hit my head and got a concussion, and I had to go to the doctor. So like, yeah. Oh God, sports.
Well, I will say, going back to that, the thing I always think of in relation to that is one of the episodes of with Trixie Mattel and Katya. Trixie at the end is like, they're talking about high school reunions and how they would never go. And I think it's like the kicker at the end. And Trixie's like, well, if I went to my high school reunion, I'd be like, you all picked on me for being gay and called me gay. 1, you were right. 2, I made money off of it. And I always think
yeah, I feel like I've told this storylet on your thing before, but at one of my high school reunions, this girl came up to me and she was like, "We all knew you were gay." I'm like, it hurt so bad because like back then, like you knew they were doing that as like a way to hurt you, and so
right.
So I felt like she was trying to hurt me all over again, and also like, you were the biggest lesbian and you're a lesbian now, and we knew you were lesbian. So what of it? How come you're coming and yelling at me, ma'am? And so I just was like, why do you, that hurt? I don't like that.
It's stupid that hurts, but it's true, right? It shouldn't, but it does.
Yeah, it's because like you are gay and you're like, I know, and I've taken a lot of therapy to embrace it and to be able to own it and to see it as a positive thing. And now you are taking me right back to, well, that's the thing at a high school reunion. It's like having to be at home with your parents.
That was
you just regress. You just regress immediately back to high school. Are high school reunions a thing in the UK?
They are not, and I am so happy they're not. I saw a tweet the other day from a British guy who was like, "Oh, like I really wish we had high school reunions over here." And then I was like, "I'm just going to look at the quote retweets real quick," and everyone was like, "Fuck no! You are clearly a loser who has done nothing in their adult life, and you have never met a gay person if you think that would be fun." Because dear God, no.
I've gone to 2 of them, and I can say now that I don't need to go to another one just because the people that you hope are going to be there aren't there. I mean, I did have fun because I went with like my friends from marching band / tall flags and Joel team and short flag, just all the flags. And yeah, but also like we don't need it anymore. I think it's going to die out because we have social media and you're goddamn Facebook. You're stuck with the people from high school that you don't want to remember. We got so derailed. This was all because I was talking about coming out to people and say, "Oh, I will say, yeah, like, why did I think that 2 like straight men who are actors, creative people are more in touch with sexuality and energy. So obviously they knew. They were just being nice and waiting for me to come out.
It is funny that you mentioned the like how there's like bros on set, because even like straight friends I've had who are like work on sets have been like, oh, the guy said awful. Like I had a friend who was straight and his girlfriend was black, and like the like crew guys were like making these awful comments like, oh, blah blah blah, like just like out loud saying shit to him, and he was like, hey, I need you guys never to say that again, and like walked away because they were just like saying like kind of racist shit and like very like sexist shit, and he was like, I didn't know what to do because like he's like a smaller guy and it was all these like older big guys, and I was like, God, I would die on one of these sets because I wouldn't know what to do. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of sort of construction vibes.
but Tom, let's talk about Storyteller.
Also, cut all the boring stuff, please. Okay, cut
okay.
it.
Okay, let's get into Storyteller. Jane told me that you came up with the way Andrew says everything in this opening, the like pronunciation. And I was wondering where you got
the
that from.
vampire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the thing that everyone. Can you say vampire? I'm like,
well, I'd like to think that
I am here. Here's my trick. I shall do it for you. Please give me a treat after. Here's where I got it though. I'm just like the way people are obsessed with Buffy. I was obsessed with the things I was watching at the time, which was and the things I was doing. I was doing a musical with friends at the time when I started filming the show, and I was the stage manager because their stage manager went to make copies one day or get some coffee for everyone and just never came back. And so my friend Amy Rutberg, who is now she's a fancy actor and also now a fancy writer on NCIS Hawaii and other things, she was like, hey, our stage manager never came back. You want the job? I'm like, sure. And by the way, I'm the worst stage manager of all time. You want me to be in charge of things where I'm like having to be organized and keep a schedule and do things in a timely manner. Like I'm actually pretty good at it now, but back then, like the ADD was out of control. So I was terrible, but I'm fun. So they kept me around. And it was a show where there was like weekly guest stars every week that would come in and do a guest spot. And my friends in the show, my friend Leslie Margarita was also in the show. She's a big Broadway person now. And Olivier Award winner in London for the West End. And we were obsessed with, oh, I know. Okay, who played the mayor? He's a musical theater guy too. Harry.
Oh, Harry Groening, right? Or Groening?
Yes. So he came and did a number, and so the people, the actors in the show, we all started doing this, and they got in the habit of saying the Broadway and putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable of the thing. And so and from Broadway's production of, because they would always list their credits when they would bring the actor out for this segment in the show. And so whenever Harry came and did a couple weekends of it, and so they would say from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it was all just this running joke in between all of us in the show was saying it the wrong way. So I took that as a shout out to my friends from that and decided to say it like that. God, I've talked so much. That's where the vampire came from.
That's funny because when I did the rewatch, I was like, oh, I wonder if it was like a Jenna Maroney thing. Then I was like, oh wait, no, Jenna Maroney was like after like this.
Oh, camera?
Yeah. You were Jenna Maroney before Jenna Maroney was a thing.
What were you saying, Philip?
I don't get that reference. It's giving like a mix of Catherine O'Hara in Schitt's Creek and then Nigella Lawson saying microwave.
Oh my God! Wow, I was doing a Catherine O'Hara way. Oh wow, I feel so.
It wasn't me the vampire bit. It was just when the camera pans to you and you're like, oh hello, gentle viewer, and it was giving me like the wine commercial, like just the sort
Oh
of.
my god! I was totally the Fruit wine before Fruit wine. Well, also I was obsessed with Jiminy Click at the time, which was Martin Short's show. And so I was obsessed with it. And so that's sort of where the like that come with me now. Like I was obsessed with doing really bad acting and like super out of touch with your physical body acting. And so come with me now. Like super awkward. Come with me now.
I feel like that's a very good like description of it. The like out of touch with your own body, like
which is me because like I have some dance training and I'm a musical theater person and I have had to dance in shows and whatnot. And then like I'll watch the tape back of me doing the dance where I'm like, I'm hitting it, I'm doing it, I'm nailing it, and it's just like Muppet Kermit arms. Just.
You do have some Broadway background. Mr. starred in Rock of Ages.
Yeah, I did a Broadway show. But I went to school. I did it in school. That was my whole focus. I was in a musical theater programs, whatever at UCLA. And so like, yeah, I do have a lot of. Anyway. Sorry. What was I gonna say? I'm not having a stroke. I'm just being awkward. Oh, I know. I was gonna say. Yeah, no, that was all leading to. I love props and I love doing weird stuff and getting involved. Like, I don't think people like other actors aren't like, can I have this and that for my prop? And like, there was a pipe, and so I needed to like awkwardly smoke on it, and I wanted to like, I don't know. I just had I wanted to milk every moment. Apparently, Cloris Leachman, it was a lot like this. She's like wants to be holding things and touching, and I think also as an anxious person, you're like, what can I hold on to like. I don't know what to do with my hands, so at least this will keep me busy. You know, that's what they call it, a clutch, a purse, with, you know, just a clutch. Someone finally explained that to me.
Wait, really?
It's clutch, because, yeah, so you can just, like, have something to do, like, no, I don't know. Maybe she was joking with me, but it's like, that's why women carry, not all women, but some women will carry a clutch on the red carpet, because it's like, at least you know what to do with your hand, because otherwise you're like, what do I do? Why?
I've been trying to like phase out making a peace sign in my photos, and I'm like, what the fuck do I do with my hands if I'm not doing that in a selfie?
Are you a peace? Are you a peace sign tongue out gay? Is that what you are?
Every fucking photo. Oh my god! No, absolute same. I don't know what to do with my hands, and it's like it's almost a reflex at this point. I don't even know I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with my neck. I'm always like, should I put it out more?
Your neck, Tom.
Because I get very chinny now in photos, and so like I don't know. So I'm just constantly like, I don't know.
That's what my beard's for. It covers that. It like gives me the facade of a chin.
And that's literally why I grew mine as well, because I didn't have a jawline in pictures.
It helps.
Is that what I should do? I look so dumb. I was trying to do like longer scruff and beard for a while, and my god, I look stupid. I look like such a weird baby beard.
I was gonna say, is it the baby face? It's the baby face, probably, right?
I'm not trying to say I have a baby face.
You do.
But no, it's like, oh, what is that boy man doing, pretending he's an adult? I'm probably just projecting all of that. But then again, I've yet to be able. I have auditioned to play so many dads, like, and I know, like, yeah, because you're not believably dad, because you're not believably straight. Well, that's homophobic, and no, but also like gay dads. I haven't been able, like, why am I not? I am so old to have it. I could have a I could have a child in college right now.
You know,
many of my friends do have children in college right now, or out of college.
I work retail, and we like hire a lot of the like ladies that work in the cafe are like 18 or 19, and I'm like, you could be my child, Jesus Christ! Like literally, like the age is there; they could be my child, and I'm just like, ugh. Why can't I play a guy with a 2-year-old? That's what I want to know. I had told Tom I was going on dates with a younger guy. That guy told me how old his mom was, and his mom was only 3 years older than me. And I was like, I hate this. Like, yeah.
Oh, that is violence. That is abominable.
He chose
God.
violence.
He was like, oh, she just had me young. And I was like, but still, like.
When I saw the real age, when I saw the age of the ladies when they started the Golden Girls,
Right.
and I'm like, how close I am to that, that hurt my feelings.
Louis Peisman was like tweeting about that when he was going through Golden Girls like recently. And I was like, that is way too close to our ages, Louis. Like, Jesus Christ. Because it's only like, what, they were like 50, I think, or something like that, or around that when they started.
And they were under 50. I think most of them were under 50 when they started. And they're like, we're playing retirees. We're old women. We're grandparents. It's like, wait, what? What? Also, do you see the thing that, and just like that, photos versus the Golden Girls? Because they're all like in their 50, like mid to late 50s now.
Yeah.
And so they're like, it's just interesting how women of that age were presented in the 80s versus now. I don't know. I guess there's a lot of science involved now. And oh, wow. Okay.
All right. So we're going to get back on track here.
Yeah, we're getting back on track. Again, delete the boring stuff.
So Jane also told me that you both have a writer's credit for the like We Are As Gods.
I should talk to her about that because I think I forgot to sign the paper.
Yes,
and so then I never got my residuals for
That's
that.
what
So
she
how do
said.
I
She was like, Tom never signed the paper.
how do I go back and do that?
Yeah,
If you're a lawyer, slide into my DMs. It's fine. I don't need that. I got many residuals for many years that were very good to me. So did we ever discuss this? Is Buffy a Disney princess now?
I mean, right, kind of.
I mean, I did rewatch this episode on my Disney Plus account, so I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, right, in the UK.
Is it on Disney Plus now?
Only in the UK.
Twist!
Not here, Tom.
Whoa. I think it's on Amazon Prime
And Hulu,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Hulu. But it's a Disney property now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Because I
mean, everything is.
right. I mean, everything. Yeah.
Like at some point, like decades from now, where there'll be some like ride at Disneyland, a California adventure.
They get your face. You could
Anyway,
be one of those.
continue.
You could be one of the actors they bring to like do the like intro. Like Chris Pratt does a bunch of the intros for like the Marvel stuff.
I could be like, what's his name? When he's introducing the new Disney. Hi, everybody. It's me from the Goldbergs. And I'm very excited to be here today to introduce to you the new 2-day Star Wars cruise ship where you can take an adventure through all of space. Why? Oh, he's like a young Steve from. That's also my impression of Steve from Sex and the City. Miranda, what are you doing, Miranda?
Kind of is their voice.
What are they both from Chicago? Is that why they talk like this? If they broach a little, they have Liza Minnelli S's, and they're sort of talking like this. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
I gotta ask, why was he your go-to impression, the kid from the Goldbergs?
Because I watched that thing that Disney took down of the like introducing that Star Wars hotel thing.
Oh, did he like actually do an intro? Why the hell was he doing an intro?
Yeah, he's like, I'm here with one of the Imagineers who came up with the idea. I'm doing Carol Channing now.
It's blending.
Yeah, everyone made so much fun of it looking so cheap and bad that Disney took down the video.
Oh, really?
But it's it's still out there.
Right,
anyway, I recently watched that, and he's the like person introducing whatever. Anyway, sorry. But didn't Mario Lopez used to do the one for a Space Mountain?
Maybe. I don't know.
That sounds
I
right.
feel like he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that pops up he pops up everywhere. So yeah, that sounds.
And he like
that tracks.
Hosts now. He's like a professional like host, right?
God, he's in that like yeah, he's what's the Paul Rudd like what secret sauce are they using?
So I interviewed him actually at the end of last year to find out exactly how it is. Basically, the question was like, you still look incredibly hot. Like, can you speak to that? Like, how what do I have to do?
Wait, Paul Rudd or
And the
Mario
answer is,
Lopez?
like, eating right. Mario Lopez. And the answer is basically just like, yeah, eat right and exercise. And I was like, ugh, fine. But he is like still fine as hell.
No, it's also take HGH, human
Be
growth
rich.
hormone, like
Yeah.
be rich, take human growth hormone, Botox. I'm assuming. What is the? I just want to know what the. Who are you going to, and how do I? No, it's fine.
Right, because like the work is good work, right? Like, and that's the work one would want if they were getting work done, is like the like where it looks seamless and like.
Yeah, I want that thing like something has happened, but you don't. It doesn't go to uncanny. What is it called? Uncanny valley, where you're like, why does that look so off? You don't look human anymore.
Right.
But you
like
can arguably just say like, oh, I just like drink lots of water and sleep 8 hours every night, and everyone knows that you're lying, but they can't see like exactly what it is, so they have to pretend to believe you.
Yeah,
8
yeah,
hours of
I want
sleep.
that.
That's all. Fuck off with that. Tom, okay, wait, we're gonna get back to this, talking about this episode.
Have we talked about the episode yet? Oh my god.
So Jane said you have. I don't understand. How do you have singing? How do you have like song credits for the We Are As Gods? Was that like? How does that work?
She did, well, because she wrote the words and they're like, just like sing a random whatever. And I think at first I tried to do. We are as gods, we are as gods, we are as gods, we are as gods, we are as poor wandering one. That's from Pirates of Penzance.
Make me sing. Don't make me sing.
And I think I was doing that because I'm like, oh, it's public domain, so we could use it if we wanted to. And then they're like, no, it's too melodic. Just like do whatever. And so I just was doing whatever. I was just improvising. They didn't want it to sound too much like a song, so they didn't want to get in trouble. Also, one time in the episode where I said, Faith stole one of my hot pockets, I said, Faith stole one of my hot pockets. And they made me go in and record over it and not sing because.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that from an ad over there?
That was the commercials. Hot pockets. Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah. And so they were like, you can't do that. I'm like, Hot Pockets would love the free advertise. They would love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's funny because Tom, were you a 30 Rock gay? Did you watch 30 Rock?
Yes.
So
yes.
Remember that episode
All
where Liz and
Tracy Jordan.
Yeah, Tracy Jordan. Yeah. When they're like singing, so that way they can't film them, and they're like singing to the tune of like Uptown Girl. I love that.
Oh God, I love that show.
Yeah.
I think I watched 30 Rock the way people watch, the way you watch Buffy, because I was like, Liz Lemon is she's me. I love her. She's my best friend. I'm also attracted to her. There was so many levels of I want to be her. I want to be Tina Fey. I love Tina Fey. She's so beautiful. I love her. I'm questioning my own sexuality. She's amazing. When I got to meet her when I was doing Busy Tonight, and we did an episode. I did an episode where she was on it, and she was the nicest person. So nice to me. When I worked at the Barnes & Noble on the Upper West Side in New York, she was a regular. Weirdly, it was like towards the end of 30 Rock, the whole cast lived in that area, so all of them were regulars. But she, of course, I also felt the same way about Liz Lemon that you did. And I was like, I was a supervisor. So one of the days when she came in, I had been like the only person who hadn't interacted with her. Like I just saw her from afar. I was like, when she comes up to registers, I mean it. None of you ring her up. I ring her up. And I made them all step back. So when she came in line, and it's a New York store, so there's like a bunch of cashiers, everyone was like, all right. And like just looked at me, and I was like, can I help the next customer? And literally we said 3 words to each other, but I was ecstatic. What made my day. Anyway, but yes. To meet your
right. It's so nice. And like, I don't know.
Isn't it nice? You just get to.
Yeah. Tom, tell us what was one of your favorite parts of this episode, like filming wise, or even just like writing wise?
Obviously the sitting in the chair, talking to the camera. Also, because I was obsessed with Christopher Guest movies. And like Waiting for Guffman kind of was the thing that made me realize, wait, acting, it's just like you're talking and it seems like you're not acting. It was kind of the first time I had that realization. So I loved the stuff where I got to like talk to the camera and whatever that style of acting is, where I don't know, it was so fun. I loved the unicorn stuff where we were filming outside in Agora Hills, in those togas. I don't know. I love that line that Emma said, that why can't you just masturbate like the rest of us? That whole thing on the toilet was fun. That was such a fun cold open, right? Because why can't you just masturbate like the rest of us? And I look at her and then, right? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, that's actually my favorite part of the episode. Yeah.
We when we were recording to discuss the episode yesterday, I kind of had to call particular attention to how it's the last great masturbation joke in Buffy, because they have quite a few, but it's the most just like, it's not even a joke. It's just her saying the word masturbation and then like an awkward silence, and then it cuts to the credits, and it just works so perfectly.
Oh, isn't it so good?
Yeah.
God damn it.
You and Emma had great chemistry together. Like you guys, I felt like I wish that Andrew and Anya got like a zillion more scenes together.
Well, we did, and we just had so much fun in general filming, and I was just thought I hadn't been watching the show before I was on it, but then when I started to watch it as I was filming, just like being like, oh wow, this person's my friend, but also, oh my god, she's so funny, and so good. I'm trying to think of some other parts of the episode that would be of interest to you.
Obviously, so much of what Andrew brought to the show was that levity and the humor and sort of that, the guilelessness, that, you know, the Rose quality that you mentioned earlier. And this is maybe one of the first instances where we get to see the much more like serious side, where he kind of finally, you know, admits what he's done, and he's not just like narrativizing and making really, really funny jokes. So what was that like, kind of doing the much more serious, dramatic side towards the end of the episode, especially in like that final scene where you just sort of, it's so stripped back?
Yeah, I was gonna save this for my thing at the end, but I'll tell it now. They swapped scenes on us, and all of a sudden we were filming that last scene where I'm crying over the what is it? The
seal of Danthazar. For the Hellmouth.
Hellhole, the Hellmouth hole, Hellmouth.
Jesus Christ.
And I was slightly panicked because, you know, I hadn't learned the lines for that scene yet, and not like Sarah Michelle Gellar, who can just like look at it and then knows it. But she came in and she said, "Okay, you've swapped scenes on us, and we're gonna block it, and we're gonna try it. But if Tom's not comfortable doing this, because this is a big important moment, if he doesn't feel comfortable or ready, we're not doing it." And I was like, "Thank you." So that was very cool. That was a very cool thing of her to do, because as a guest star, you are, I mean, I've been there long enough at that point, but a lot of times as a guest star, you're just like not, they don't care how they light you. Yeah. They just expect like, you better be ready to say your line at any moment. But so that was cool. And like, I've since figured out how to make myself cry on stage when I'm doing the Tilda Swinton play. But I had not figured it out. And so I was just like, blow the menthol in my eyes, just blow it in there and make me cry. So I just was like, I was very nervous about that, looking real and wanting to be good there.
in our recording, everyone complimented your range, Tom. I will say in our
range. Thank you. I mean, I can't watch it. Obviously, I haven't watched it in a long time because who wants to watch? I'm like, what's his name? I'm like Adam Driver. Don't play me my clips. I don't want to hear any of my clips. I can't stand the sound of my own voice. If you play me a clip, I will leave the room. But I did have a party too. I did invite all my friends and went to a bar that had like a big like screen that came down, and we watched the episode live on TV that night, and that was fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
That must have been a lot of fun.
It was, and I was so proud of it. I'm proud of it. Just because also like, I don't know. I always think like, oh gosh, if I had been straight, I would have been given my own, not a spin-off, but like this would have been enough to like, here's a show, here's your own show, sir. Or the fact that network television show was like giving that much responsibility to a guest star, that's unheard of. And so I think if it were now, it would have been a big launching point for someone. But I think back then it was just like the show was, I mean, we have to remember like this was not a highly rated show because the Nielsen ratings were obviously not measuring the amount of people that were actually watching it. It was low budget technically, and it wasn't like, because it was already, like people, Hollywood, the people that are like actively casting and producing Hollywood stuff, like they all watch the first season of like when it's in the zeitgeist, like when something comes out, it's like, oh, okay, that person's on it. But as far as they know, 6-7 seasons in, it's still just the people that started there. So it's not like it was being recognized by,
I feel like Entertainment Weekly, though, always recognized it. That was like, I felt like they were always writing about Buffy.
It did. Well, I mean, it's what it was. It was a cult. It was a cult hit, right? And so, but it just wasn't being acknowledged, obviously, by critically. It should have been. I mean, that
Sarah deserved an Emmy.
The Body deserved an Emmy. Sarah should have been nominated. So, but also, I think it's because at the end of the day, it was about monsters, and there was special effects, and it was funny and dramatic. So I think it just was a very singular thing at the time, and it was obviously paved the way for a lot of shows like it that are on now. But that, I hope that doesn't sound like sour grapes. I'm just saying like it was an amazing opportunity to have, and because you're just not like, I haven't had something that like that role since, because it's not being written. Something like that. So anyway,
well, it is funny. Like, I mean, we've been friends for a while, getting to know you, how much of like, I could see, and when I talked to Jane, she did say, she wrote a lot of, and like you said, she said like, wrote a lot of like, ooh, Tom will be good delivering this. And like, getting to know you, I can see like, when I rewatch the episodes, I can be like, oh, that's Tom. And like, I know that like, you're not into nerdy shit. So like, you didn't know a lot of the nerdy references. Right. And I think about that a lot when I rewatch, especially for the podcast. I'm like, what did he think he was saying in this scene? Like,
well, I mean, yeah, a lot of times they did have to explain it to us. The thing is, we were obviously, the three of us are nerdy about other things.
Yeah.
But like, I just remember I had a line that was like, I'm bored, episode 1 bored. And I was like, oh wow, that's so like meta that do the characters know they're in a TV show now? Like, and is he saying like he's bored by the first episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I didn't know that it was
Star Wars.
So funny.
Yeah, it was a Star Wars reference, and I'm like, wait, what? I think because as coming up doing guest stars and whatnot, which is different than like, someone just landing their first gig and it's a series regular. I was just used to, working for it. It's like going on a date with me. Like I don't just sit there. Like I work for it. Like I'm going to be interesting. I'm going to talk. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to be a good conversationalist. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm not just going to say the line, because you're so used to, you go to a table read and the actors are like, just like mumble, mumble, mumble. And like, I'm used to like, okay, what can I bring to it? What can I add to it? And so I still try to do that. Sometimes there's no rescuing or saving a script, even when you're like, there's nothing I can add to this. But yeah, like I love trying to, obviously there's so much funny that words written there in the lines, and then I'm like, okay, but also what quote unquote character work can I do to add more, get some more laughs.
Yeah. I did notice, so as we've been going through season 7 for the podcast, your character, Andrew and Kennedy, are the only ones that don't come in and out. Like you guys are in every episode, and every other guest star, including Giles, slip in and out of episodes from episode to episode. And you two are the only two that are in every one, starting with the first episode you're in that season.
Oh, really? I thought... Okay. Well, I guess because I was trapped at the house, right? Also, that felt very cool. I remember being like, "Oh my god, I'm in the group. I'm on the show. I'm a series regular. I'm not being paid as a series regular. I'm not being credited as one, but I will be lying on my resume and saying that I was one because I feel like it. I'm part of the Scooby Gang now. I feel like it.
I feel like if you've been tied to a chair for longer than like 4 episodes, that just makes you like, you're part of the gang now.
Yeah.
It's like a common little life thing.
Common law wife. Oh my god, I'm Buffy's common law wife. That's cute.
So what was it? So I did like hearing about you with Sarah. What was that like having to, were you nervous? Because and from what you've said, from what everyone has said, she was very good at just like looking and getting it and nailing it right away. Were you like super nervous to like have to do like more acting, capital A, with her in a scene with her alone?
No, because we'd worked a lot together at that point, and I got to be friends with her, but it was interesting because like it just was always sort of separate with her, like for like the season 6, like we were very separated from the rest of the cast, but then I think she was kind of one of the first ones that we started actually having more interaction. I don't know. It was, you want to be, the thing is like, you want to be as good as she is, and you don't want to fuck up a line. Like I had anxiety, be like, oh my God, please don't forget my lines because this person has way more responsibility than me, and she never forgets a line. I'm trying to think if there's any other details I can remember from that.
Did you keep anything from this episode or from filming?
They like when the show was wrapping, they swooped in and they're like took everything from us, because then they like shredded it and turned it into trading cards.
Oh right, yes, like, I remember those cards.
So yeah, no, we didn't get to keep. I'm trying to think if I got to keep anything. Maybe I kept those Clarks. Shoot, no, I think I bought my own pair that were like that. Yeah, they wouldn't let us keep anything. At least the guest stars. I don't know about the other people. But I did just find at my parents' house the Buffy like messenger bag that was like a wrap, not a wrap gift, but maybe it was a wrap gift. I found 2 Buffy warming coats that they just like give you as for like, when you're cold or filming it in the middle of the night, and it has whatever. And the Buffy messenger bag. I'm trying to think. Oh, and I have a Buffy. The wrap gift was a fancy Swiss watch with an engraving on the back that's about Buffy. I still have those.
Cute.
Do you want them? What do I do? Would it be weird if I'm just, because I saw the messenger bag and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could wear that ironically now. Would that seem cool?
I feel like that would be your nightmare though, because then like people would be going up to you to talk and want to talk Buffy with you, and like maybe either think you were a fan or immediately be like, Andrew, oh my God. But maybe you would like
that would be mortifying when they're like, oh, cool bag, where'd you get it? And I'm like, yeah, does this reckon? They're like, no. People, I mean, I'm in Los Angeles, no one's stopping me on the street for that.
I do remember
so I
you were stopped. You were stopped the one time we went out together. Like I think one of the servers stopped you.
Well, yeah, that's true. Sometimes I do. I mean, that was a while ago. That just doesn't happen anymore.
Fair. I don't know if I told you.
Which is fine.
I had someone, and it's me. When I visited New York in July, a woman stopped me on the street and was like, "This is crazy, but do you host Slayerfest 98's Buffy podcast?" And I was like, made my life. She stopped me on 9th Avenue, and I told her she had a free pass to any live shows we do. She would get in for free.
Oh, wasn't it fun? I will say, like, it is fun to get recognized for the thing that you're like, that's your thing that you're passionate about. So I remember when my Instagram took off and I was still doing all the garbage outfits, that was cool when people would come, or, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. And it's like, oh, thank you. It's not just this thing from 20 years ago. And because I've told you this before, like sometimes I can tell when I'm like, they don't care about me. I am just the closest thing to the thing that they actually like, which is the show / Sarah Michelle Gellar. And so that's fun when it's like the thing that you're, I don't know, that you're like, oh, this came from me. And like, this was my project that I did. Like that was cool. I mean, I don't mind when people come up to me for like, I should be so lucky. We should all be so lucky to be on a thing that people enjoy and recognize us from.
I've told this story before on the podcast, but when Kali Rocha came into that Barnes & Noble that I worked at where I met Tina Fey, and I'm like ringing her up and I'm like, this woman is very familiar. Does she work at my school? Like the voice is so familiar. And then I looked up her membership card and I saw her name, and like, like I said, I rung up Tina Fey. I was very good at being like, this is a celebrity, whatever, but like inside excited. And I was just like, oh my God, you were on Buffy. And she was very excited. She was like, you just made my day. She was like, I walk around this town thinking, what the fuck am I doing in my life? And then you recognizing me really made my day. I was like, oh, cool. I'm sorry. I don't normally do that. But it just like popped in my head as like, oh, that's how I know her from. So I imagine that's like,
I have the reverse of that story where, like the exact thing where you see somebody who is famous or familiar, but like out of the context that you know them from. And so you do just assume that you know them in real life, but you can't place where. And I remember I was working at a conference in France, maybe like 5 years ago. And I worked for a big ad agency at the time. And so they had like a big guest speaker coming in, and it was like a big deal. And so I'm just like grabbing a coffee in this place. And a woman walks in and she is instantly familiar. And I've worked for this company for a few years. So I was like, oh, was she here last year? Or had I been on like a call with her or something? And I was like, oh, hey, like, it's really good to see you again. Just like not realizing it. And then the second she spoke, I was like, holy fuck, that is Monica Lewinsky. And she was our guest speaker because she was talking about online shaming, and that was like the big topic of the conference that year. And I was just like, oh hey, yeah, it's really good to see you again, like as if
and she's like
been on the news on and off for the last like 20 years.
Well, in her head she thought, oh shoot, I don't remember where I know him. Either she was like, yeah, no, he just doesn't realize who or she was, because that's the thing is like that's why you always have to say nice to see you again, because when in LA when you say nice to meet you, you don't know, because we've all been there and we're like, I've met you 20 times. So it's good that you said nice to see you. She probably was like, how do I know him?
Yeah, she probably was like, oh, I probably worked with him or something.
I've done it too in the early 2000s in New York. I was at a bar with my friends. My friends were all in the musical. My friend was in Footloose on Broadway, and so I got to know her friends. Anyway, we were out with all these people, and Julia Stiles was out with us, and I said, "Oh my gosh, are you from LA?" And she said, "No, Mike. No, I feel like We did it. Didn't we do a gum commercial together where we had to like make out? Just like, no. And she hadn't become super famous yet, so but it did hit me about an hour later who it was, and I was like, oh my god, I feel so stupid.
Did we do a gum
So
commercial
stupid.
together? I love that.
There are photos from that night. Well, because also that's the week that I first became friendly with Kristen Bell. So I just recently found those photos of us all being babies, and there was Kristen, me.
I love when you do a name drop.
Drop it. I'm dropping it.
Oh, my friend Kristen Bell.
We're friendly-ish. I haven't seen her in forever, but
that was like one time you did that with mentioning Sarah Michelle Gellar to me, like, oh yeah, me and Sarah, and I was like, Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? Yeah, I know who that is. And you're like, my friend.
Have you heard of that? Have you heard of her?
I don't know if you know her.
All
right, Tom. What was your favorite outfit you got to wear in this episode? Because you wore a lot of ridiculous outfits, I feel like.
I don't even remember. Can you name some?
There was the toga. There was the lab outfit, the lab when you're in like the scientist. There's the robe. And there's your like very 90s, early 2000s like track jacket.
90s? It was 2003.
2000, yes. Early 2000s.
I think I love that. I definitely love that smoking jacket. That was fun. That's my favorite.
It does look
outfit.
like I love that you guys had like a whole set just for that little opening. Like it's like a whole new.
Oh my god, the burning fireplace, and oh god, that was so cool. I'm trying to think. The toga was fun. I remember the sound guy yelling at us, like we kept messing up, or like we were just like crashing into each other while we were dancing and playing lutes and things. And the sound guy was such a jerk. He was like, hurry up, man, you're hosing us. We're cold out here. And I'm like, I'm the one wearing a dress with nothing covering my legs. Chill the fuck out, bro. Straight men are the worst. Trying to think if there's any good like stories from this. I should have watched it, and then I could have had memories flood to the surface.
Tom has been very insistent on coming on to talk about this episode for like a good year. You were like, did you do it without me? And I told you I didn't.
Yeah, no, I was going to be offended if you didn't ask me. Of all the ones to ask me to do, you're not going to ask me to do this one? I will be offended.
Of course, I would ask
and
you
then
on your starring role.
And then I don't remember anything. Well, it's just like, I don't know. It would be weird if I just sat around watching my old shows, wouldn't it?
To be fair, I don't even listen to my own podcast episodes. Like with the like horror podcast I do is all on video, and I like hate watching myself. So, and I'm not even an actor.
Why do we do it? Why do we do it though if we hate watch? I mean, I've gotten used to myself because I have to edit. I'm constantly editing videos to put on the interwebs.
Yeah.
So I've had to get used to it. But at least I'm in control of how I look and sound when I'm editing. So that's maybe the good part. Because anytime I'm embarrassed, I'm like, okay, cut that part.
Yeah, and you just like redo it if you want.
Philip, how do you handle yourself on film, on camera?
I mean, I am not really on camera too much. Everything I do is either audio or written, but it's like transcribing my own interviews is painful to me. It's excruciating. So I've now just I pay a service to like have a robot do it for me.
That I will say that's one thing I like about writing for Logo is that they have a transcription. So like if I've done an interview, I just send it to them and they put it into their transcription and then send it back.
Do we think straight men judge their own voices as harshly as we do?
Right, I don't think so.
100% not. No. I'm always like, why do you sound so nasal? Why do you talk through your nose? Why do you sound like that? You don't sound like that. What are you doing? Like the entire time, it's horrible. And then I'm like, why do you say like so much? Why are you saying?
If I say like one more time, Thomas, I've actively tried to because the things I say the most are I was all. Which when you say quickly, it sounds like I saw. And then I listen back and I think, oh God, you just sound like a Valley Girl from the 80s. What are you? So I try to say I said, or I went, like I'm trying there, I'm saying like again. It's hard. It's so hard. I think it's the inner, our own inner femme shaming of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've
that,
gotten
that surfaces when you have to hear your own voice.
I literally, some of the negative reviews for this podcast are he talks like a Valley Girl. He says like too much. I'm like, all of my insecurities. Recently, someone said I was too gay to watch on video, and it was a gay person saying that.
Oh, well, that's their own homophobia coming to the
yeah, they sound perfectly normal and fine.
I just saw a Facebook post. I'm rarely on Facebook, but this guy Justin Root, I don't know him very well, but he posted a photo of him doing extra work on something. And he said, here I am in the background doing extra work because in the 90s, it was illegal to have a gay voice on television. So I had to be in the background. And it just hit me like, oh my God, it really was like, that was the big thing. Like you couldn't possibly be an actor on a real thing because your voice sounds too gay.
Yeah.
And I think obviously that's taken me out of a lot of jobs, and I've had to like go. It's like, okay, that's fine. It's a bunch of straight people casting this commercial. If my gay voice is the thing they're gonna pick on, but it is so. Isn't it wild that that was one of the main reasons that we weren't seeing gay people on TV, even in non-out gay roles, is because of the way we sound. So that was a long meandering tale of we're all faced with our own shame from our past. Yes. And dealing with our own inner homophobia. And if you, listener, are struggling, then just know that you're not alone, and it's just something that we all have to work through constantly.
All right, Tom, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you for joining us. It is always lovely talking to you.
I still feel like I didn't talk about the episode.
You kind of didn't.
Were there specifics we were supposed to talk about? Like, what happened? Did you have any questions of like, what about this moment or that moment? Like, what was the? Was there anything where like, tell me about the story behind that?
You know what?
Go back and edit this appropriately.
Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare to edit. Philip, do you think of any specific episode? You
didn't take notes.
I have plenty of notes.
You didn't take notes.
It's just
look at your notes.
Kind of hearing you're just like everything that you kind of brought to the character and sort of learning how much of that was influenced by you as an actor as much as the writers and just it's been really, it's always interesting to hear how the sausage gets made.
Oh, the sausage. Oh, it's made of intestines and toenails, and I just wish I had like a moment of like, well, you didn't see this, but it was really that.
Well, hit us with one.
I mean, what is there? I should have watched it to try and come up with a good story to tell you.
I mean, it's fine. We've covered, internalized homophobia on this episode. We've really hit a lot of bases. I feel the listeners will not be disappointed.
I mean, I have plenty of notes on the episode, Tom. But
well, what were they? What was the moment you were like, what about that moment? Anything you wanted to critique of like, I didn't believe that, or that stood out as
the moment when Andrew is filming everyone at breakfast. Tell us about that. And like Buffy gets the like telenovela, wind in her hair. Oh, that's like shirtless.
Oh, that's in this episode. Oh God, that was fun because I feel like they hadn't had moments when they hadn't had. Had they had a lot of dream sequence moments on that show?
They had but not ones like that, right, Philip? Like this was
where
like
they were like
more-
looking to the camera.
Yeah, no.
That was fun because it was just like glamour shoot, the fan blowing, and like obviously they didn't need me for those moments because they were just filming her. But I think I was there saying my lines off camera just so they could have it. Oh God, that was a fun scene.
And I
I
love
did
that-
mouth I'm sorry to Amanda, I think it is. To Sarah Hagen. I'm like, no, not you. And then I go, I did add that. I added the sorry.
I was gonna say
I don't know. That was just also. That's the thing is like, all of it was just so fun to be filming because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm getting to do this.
I was gonna say,
I wish I would have.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say Andrew also Andy Cohen's Anya and Xander when like your character sits them down and is like, so you left Anya at the altar a year ago. What was that like? I do love that. I felt like you were like Andy Cohen before.
Oh my
Andy
God. Well,
Cohen.
I know I was being a full-on marriage counselor. I also do the same thing in real life. I love to like be armchair therapist to people. So had I started therapy at that point? What year was that? I think I went into therapy. I'm still with the same therapist, by the way. It's like 16 years together. Yeah, I started therapy shortly after that, I think, which I highly recommend to everyone. It's wonderful. Oh, God, yeah, I forgot about that. And
then later you're like watching it and your character's mouthing the words that Anya's saying. And I thought that was very cute.
Oh my gosh, I'm like pre-TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok. Okay, did you guys see okay, here's what I want to say. Did you guys see the movie The Eternals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I thought that movie was definitely a bunch of different things. Like it definitely reminded me of like, is this Peter Pan meets an episode of Ancient Aliens meets like there was one shot that looked directly from Cabin in the Woods with the giant. Sorry, spoilers. Do I have to say spoiler alert?
No.
For Eternals, you've already talked about it on the show. Just like the giant hand, I'm like, that looks straight out of Cabin in the Woods. Did that not remind you of that?
Same thing.
I'm like, you had to have someone on this movie that saw that movie and said that shot is a direct lift. But also, I felt like, what's the character? Kingo?
Kingo, yeah.
Is that the name of the character? Kingo?
Yeah.
I thought, oh wow, they directly stole this from me. They directly stole
my
this.
goodness, you're right.
He was
You're
fully
so
talking
right,
to the camera. It was such a direct lift from this episode. And so maybe the writer, director, maybe they watched. But my feeling is if you're gonna steal, like let me come be a part of it.
I was gonna say Tom Lenk in the MCU when you deserve.
Oh gosh, I got so close on a big secret MCU.
I remember you telling me like a little bit, but
and I didn't know what it was until I didn't get it. Then they're like, it was for this. And I'm like, no! But that's the weird thing about, and like other people have talked about, like you're just sending in a tape and you have no idea if it's for a lead or just some random thing,
And they like never tell you what the project is, right? When you like audition for stuff like that. Yeah.
Undisclosed MCU and you sign an NDA.
A friend who's a writer like had like to whatever writers do to get on shows, and they wouldn't even tell him what show that was. But he like was like, I think I've put it together with like what show was announced in the works and blah blah blah. But like I couldn't even believe for like writing, they don't even tell you, which seems important, but I guess not.
That's why when people send the scripts for things, I'm like, I'm not good. You think I'm going to read this? Do you know how many auditions we do when they're like, it's secret? We're not telling you what it is. It's like, you have all the information you need right there in that scene. Go. I don't need, my character hasn't read the script. My character doesn't know the other things that are happening. So I'm not wasting my time.
Right. Yeah. Also, I wanted to point out, Andrew kind of was like, I mean, I've said this before, like gay Twitter, like influencer almost before that was even a thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was a vlogger before vlogging existed. Yeah, what was he going to do with this movie that he was making?
Right, because YouTube, I don't think was a thing yet. Like, I think it was like
It was not. It was.
Yeah.
I think it was still baby YouTube.
where like anything went and movies were there.
Yeah, you're right. Like what? Oh, I know details. You know, a lot of times it's like me holding the camera, and they had a like a like a like a digital video camera, whatever at the time. I think I can't remember what kind it was, separate from the camera. So sometimes they would give me that, but I wasn't allowed to record myself. Even when it looks like I'm holding the camera, there is a cameraman behind that camera holding it, and I'm just like placing my hand sort of gently on it because of the union rules. They're not like you weren't, and maybe they've changed it now. But I was not allowed to film myself or hold the camera.
So then you're doing another job, I guess, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Huh. That is weird.
So it was all smoke and mirrors. So even when like in the scene, if there's coverage of me like recording with the camera, like couldn't actually, I don't think they were actually pressing record on that camera, because they could have just used that for any of the footage. Like if they then had to go then into the camera, then they had to film that separately. And I think sometimes they were filming it with the regular fancy camera and then putting like whatever over it to make it look like. Oh, do I do the drawings on the board in this episode?
Yes, you have the big board.
And you like it looks like you're like zooming in on yourself, and you look very proud of like the illustrations that you've done on the whiteboard.
Well, I'm a bit of an artsy craftsy person, so they were going to draw. Usually, when stuff like that happens, the prop department draws it for you or writes the stuff out for you. But I said, well, I feel like I want to be drawing it while I'm doing it, so I should draw the whole thing so that it's consistent. And so I got to so I drew all the stuff.
I love that you drew.
And it was my the little vampire, the way the vampire faces are on the thing was, how I wanted it to look and stuff. So there's definitely me. I wonder if I was just trying to be controlling back then. I don't think so. I just was trying to do as much as I make the most of every
I gotta say, I highly doubt you would be controlling, because I've talked to a lot of Buffy folks, and you seem to be the one that everyone loves. Everyone has such nice things to say about you.
Oh, good. Well, also I was paranoid of getting fired at any time, so that'll keep you being nice and friendly. Like, hi everyone. There was some people pleasing at that moment in time that I was doing, but yeah. Such an honor. Thank you to the Buffy writers, especially Jane, but I know lots of them contributed to this episode. So
Jane truly is a delight. She's been on a bunch of times, and she's always she's also she remembers shit so well from these episodes.
Well, I mean, obviously Jane is a mad genius. She has a prolific writing career. It's kind of insane, the number of shows that she's written on, and the number, I don't know, just anyway. So yeah, she obviously has a genius brain and can remember all that stuff.
And she has all her scripts on her computer. So usually when we're talking, I'll hear her typing, and she'll be like, "Oh, in the script it originally said this," or "Oh, it said this," right?
What?
Yeah. I'm
I can't remember. I can't remember, because I feel like the scripts, I kept, I think, one of this script, and I feel like it does have written out vampire spelled lowercase VAM hyphen PYRE. But I can't remember if that's because then it got revised as we were doing it, and I'd already said the first bit, and then they added that in. Vampire. How did they? Because I know it was my idea to say it like that, but maybe they spelled it.
And Jane did say it was your idea. Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know how it's now gotten typed into the script, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
Interessant.
Tom, did you ever when there's the action scene happening in front of you, I feel like, Andrew didn't do a lot of action until the finale. You do get to do a little actiony scenes. What was that like? Just like being there in the action scenes, but not like just like, well, I'm watching this.
Yeah, was I filming them?
Yeah.
I don't know. God damn it, I don't remember it. Why don't I remember stuff like that? I know it's so weird because I don't even remember that I did that. But now, yeah, you're right. I'm remembering footage of me like holding the camera while some fighting is happening. It's weird because so much it's a stunt person, and
so is it like 100 different takes, like with Sarah and then with the stunt person, or they just kind of like interchange that shit?
At that point, they had it down. Like they do a couple takes with some person, and they move on and bring her in. Also, in stuff like that, like you're basically an extra in that scene, and you're like, "Oh, when's the part when I get to talk?" Yeah, I totally forgot about that stuff. The thing is, like, I feel like my memories are more influenced by what was happening, like at lunch that day, or in my trailer, or.
I mean, that tracks. Okay, so a lot of people have pointed out who've been listening to the podcast this season, Andrew has very good chemistry with both Xander and Spike. Care to elaborate?
Well, okay, so I guess I touched on that topic a little bit earlier. I think this character, because I wasn't specifically because when I got hired, I'm like, oh, we're all in love with Buffy. We want to kill her, but we also love her or attracted to her, I guess. So that's where I started the character. And then like, I think a lot of the debate, there's a lot of like, I think there was projection because of, of who, depending on who's watching. And if you're like, oh, I can tell that actor is gay. So there's that. But because I always thought like I think, okay, so for many years, the conversation has been like, oh, he was gay, right? But now looking back, I'm like, or was he pan, or was he like, because he seems very attracted to, he seems like he wants to be like them. It's like that sort of like comic book nerd thing of like, oh, like the way straight men like comic book characters, like, well, so are you attracted to them in that muscle suit, right? A small part of you is probably, right? But it's mostly you want to be like them, you idolize them. So there's that vibe, plus there's like slight attraction there. And like, is Andrew attracted to Buffy the way I'm attracted sometimes to Liz Lemon, and like some confusing thing, I just think he definitely was out of touch with his sexuality still at this point. And I think like looking at like any like real life sort of person that does something horrible, like, I mean, there's all that talk about Danny's episode with the guns, how that like didn't come out till a year later because of the stuff that happened here in reality. So like the reality of those things are those type of like straight white men with these weapons that are trying to hurt people, right? They have, maybe they have no friends. They are maybe they're out of touch with themselves sexually. I don't know. You could put any of that. I don't want to say it's that. I'm just saying like one could draw parallels to that type of thing. Well, am I going too deep here? Am I going to get in trouble? I don't know. There's no right answer. By the way, there's no right answer. I'm going to hurt someone's feelings with all of this.
Anyway, I was just saying that.
Don't you think he? Because I feel like he was into them, but also he's into the girls as well.
I feel like
is that the way?
I feel like
you watch Yellow Jackets.
Yes.
Or
I feel like he's into the girls the way people like Philip and I, when we were younger, watched Buffy, where it's like, because like there's a bit earlier in season 7 where Andrew says to Xander something like, how long have you been following Buffy? And he's like, I'm not following her. She's my friend. And Andrew says, like, she seems like a great leader. She has very shiny hair. And I feel like that's very much how a gay man would describe Buffy, where like a man who's attracted to her is like, ooh, she's hot. But like a gay man would be like, ooh, her hair is great. Like, and that's what I think of Buffy, you know?
Well, that's the
Like,
thing though, is like, if I like, at the time I was like, I was under the impression that my character was straight.
Mhm.
And also like, as a gay person, you're like, I want to be able to have range, right? I want to be able to play more than one thing. So, and also there's only one gay writer. I don't know if we can credit, maybe we can credit Drew Greenberg to the shiny hairline, but I feel like that was actually a Drew Goddard line, maybe? I can't remember. But so it's definitely, it's being, and Jane's I think identifies as a straight woman.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think that like, if it's being written by these people, I don't know, like there's a part of all of us that we're all a little bit, it's a spectrum, right? I don't know what the answer is.
I mean,
You're right. It could be like, but that's the thing. It doesn't matter because we're all allowed to project and decide for ourselves what that character is. Is it a better answer if I just say, yeah, he was a closeted gay man and this was his way of doing it? But if I said that, I'd be lying, because at the time that like the writers never said that to me was the intent. You know what I'm saying? Like they were just like, he's saying the nerdy thoughts that we all have, and my character was getting to be the outlet for them.
Philip, you're about to say something?
I think that's what makes the character of Andrew work, is he's sort of I mean, you're absolutely right, like very disconnected from his sexuality. He's kind of a sexless being, but also incredibly fey, and in a way that can be interpreted kind of any way that any viewer would want. But I just sort of, the parallel I would draw is when I was 13 and closeted, I had a poster of Sarah Michelle Gellar on my wall, because obviously I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was my favorite show. I thought she was amazing. And my mum was like, oh yeah, he has such a crush on that Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like he really fancies her. And it's just like, she's the perfect beard. And imagine like if you were a character in that universe, you'd be like, yeah, no, I really like, I'm totally straight. I have the hots for the Slayer. Like, yeah, that's she's yeah, look at her hair. It's so shiny.
But that's the thing, like you do at a certain age, you do like you think it's a crush. Well, that's what I mean. There are so many different levels to having a crush. Like, yeah, you did have a crush on Sarah Michelle Gellar, and it was like, but it was a lot of things. It was a talent crush. It was I want to be like that. Like there's so many. Or did specifically you at that point in your life were you like, no, I'm attracted to boys and I just love her? Because
it was very much a combination of I love the way, oh my god, like Buffy's leather jackets are so cool, and I think I could rock a cross necklace, but also David Boreanaz is very tall, and that is interesting to me in a way that I would like to explore.
Yeah, there's just a lot of layers to it. I think when you're and I think you could say that the character was did he have a crush? Who did he have a crush on, and what kind of crush was it? And he definitely was not aware yet of what it was.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot. We went deep. We solved a lot of the great LGBTQ issues, I think, today in today's discussion.
now I'm going to wrap up. It is a delight to talk to you.
Okay, there, now you've got something useful. Oh my god, we talked for frigging 2 hours. I'm sorry.
It is a delight to talk to you as always. Philip, thank you for co-hosting with me. If you all like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else you get your podcasts. And you can support us on Patreon, where we are currently covering Harley Quinn, and I'm going through Buffy season 7 with my mother. She's a big Buffy fan, doesn't remember shit. What?
What are you gonna do? What's your personality gonna be when you get to the last episode of the show? Like, what will you have? You'll have nothing left.
Well, asshole, I will have Angel to go to another show you were on. But also, I might be doing some other things.
I'm roasting him. That's called is that a read? Was that a read? That's
That was
roasting.
a
Gays are
read.
allowed to do this to each other. So if you're listening to this, don't think I'm being mean to him. We're allowed to say these mean things to each other because we're friends.
We are friends.
I do love that blanket justification. It's like, we as queer people get to, and then you just make excuses for whatever terrible behavior you're doing. It's like, well, as queer people, we live our adolescence painfully in adulthood.
Listen, Tom, I'm just happy you
Amen.
didn't make fun of me for my Simon Geller painting that's behind my head, which I know you've seen before.
Did you paint it yourself?
No, on my 19th birthday, a friend painted it for me, and then I just have had it.
I have this painting that a fan did of me and gave to me at a convention, and I've kept because it's actually very good, but also weird. And I just found it when I was moving. I'm like, what do I do with this? Like, I used to keep it above my toilet so that people, like, if you're a gentleman, you'd be looking at it when you're standing up, going to the bathroom. I thought that was funny, but I try to get rid of all humorous decor. What do I do with it?
Oh, we're going serious in 2022.
Oh no, I went serious with my decor long ago. Yeah, you can't do jokey for forever. Yeah, well, I don't know where I was going.
So
anyway, yeah, I won't make fun of your painting. Thanks for having me on your show.
And wait.
Oh, I know. I was going to say there was a quote from Mindy Kaling, and she said, "Wait, hold. I took a screen grab because it's just what you said, Philip. This is Mindy Kaling. I'm constantly in a state of improvement, but I don't beat myself up over it, which is like, okay, so even if I am a monster, just know that I'm working on it, and I can do bad things because I've told you now that I'm working on it, right? Is that the same thing?
That feels very
Absolutely. You're getting ahead of it.
Anyway, so
Put the fire out in advance. Yeah.
So yes, the Patreon, subscribe to it. That would be great. If you want to follow Slayerfest 98 on social media, we are at SlayerFestX98. If you want to follow me, I am at ENX Carlos. Philip, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Philip_Ellis, and also on Instagram at Philip Ellis. I'm trying to build more of a following there for reasons that I can't discuss right now, but I would like some more followers, please.
His OnlyFans is dropping soon. And Tom, where can everyone find you?
At Tommy Lenk on Instagram and TikTok.
Ooh,
and Tom Lenk on Twitter. I'm hip. I have a TikTok video that has 2.9 million views. So take that.
Then
but I don't have very many. I don't have very many followers. So follow me there.
Well, I follow you there. So there's that.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.